with our race-winning team. We're joined by Kyle Larson, driver of the number 42 Target Chevrolet for Chip Ganassi Racing. Kyle won today's 47th annual Pure Michigan 400, his first victory and 8th top 10 finish in 2016. It's his 3rd top 10 finish in 6 races at Michigan International Speedway. He is the first graduate of the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program and NASCAR Next program to win a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race. And with the victory, Kyle Larson has now clinched a spot in the 2016 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Boy, that's a lot of stuff, but a long time coming, correct?
Yeah, it has been. We've been close a few times throughout my Sprint Cup career, and to finally put it all together and get a win, it's awesome. You're glad to get it before my 100th start next week. And it makes me extremely proud because we didn't start off this year good at all. I was pretty down the first month and a half or so, and once Chad got to get to doing what he wanted to do to the race cars, we picked up speed immediately and almost went out and won a couple races. Almost won the All-Star race. We had a great month of May there, or whatever that was, and then we had some bad luck again recently. So I knew we had to get a win here in these next 3 races to be able to make the chase, and thought Bristol last week was probably gonna be my shot to get a win out of these last handful of races, and had bad luck there, but they gave me an awesome car here. We didn't change hardly anything. I felt like anything we changed really we went back on throughout practice, and then was able to get it done here today. I made a few mistakes early in the race, had a bad start. Chad wanted to take 2 tires at first stop, and I slid through a couple of pit stalls, and we had to take 4, and just kind of had to relax and knew we had a good car. Had a close call when Kyle Busch spun. Once we settled down and started clicking off positions there in the green flag run and got our way to the top 5, I knew if we could get a yellow, we would have a shot at getting to the lead, and we did that. Then we had a not so good final pit stop there and under green, and Chase got by me, as well as Harvick and Keselowski, and had to work by Harvick and Brad, and Chase was gonna win. Had that last caution that come out, and that final caution, I was hoping that Brad would stay with me, and he did, and Chase and I both spun our tires really bad. We both had them lit up down the front stretch, and I just got a better push than he did, and Brad stayed with me. He probably could have pulled down and maybe got to my inside, and we could have raced, but he gave me a nice push and got us to win. So super happy. Glad we're in the chase. We got some awesome racetracks in the chase, so we'll have a good shot at getting to the final 2 rounds for sure, if not the final round at Homestead.
We're also joined by crew chief Chad Johnston. And Chad, Kyle described that final restart. How nervous were you on that final restart there?
I wasn't too nervous. I thought that was our only chance to win was when the caution came out, and I knew that, on the previous restart he'd done a good job, and we'd talked about it before the restart that the race was going to be won on that final restart through 1 and 2, and he did everything he needed to do. Like he said, both cars spun the tires, but he gathered it up and maintained his composure, and ran the best 8 laps of the race, and finally finished one off. So it feels good to finish one off. Like he said, we've been fast a lot of times this year, and things haven't went our way, so it was nice to finally get one to go our way.
Outstanding. We're going to open it up to questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start up front with Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. Kyle, I think you said that you had tears in your eyes the last few laps. Could you see okay, first of all? And second of all,
Is that an Asian joke?
Oh, man, we're in trouble here. What was going through your head as you were going through those last few laps? You were pretty confident you were going to win at that point, I assume.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it was, like 8 laps ago or so. I got to the lead, and it was was happy that Brad was behind me because I knew we were a lot better than Brad, and we were pulling away. And then I saw Chase get by him, and after about a lap of him not closing on me, I kind of knew that I was going to win the race. Had another caution come out, so I was pretty calm for a couple laps. Then started shaking, legs went a little numb there for a couple laps, and then then the last I think it was like 2 to go, I was starting to get choked up, and because we worked really hard to get a win and just haven't done it, and finally all the hard work by everybody, hundreds of people at our race shop, people who've got me to the Cup Series. It was all paying off, so it was pretty awesome, and I couldn't quite catch my breath there after I got out of the car because I spent 2 minutes screaming because I was so pumped up. So it was pretty special, and I'll remember it for forever.
Go next to Bob.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. Kyle, everybody's been talking about all the chances that you've had before. Have you ever gone back to like even California a couple years ago and think, man, maybe I should have roughed up Kyle, or even a few weeks ago, man, I should have roughed up Kenseth? I mean, have you replayed those races in your mind over and over, or bygones bygones?
Well, Fontana, there was nothing I could have done to get by Kyle that one, but I mean, there's been a couple where I could have done things differently to get the win, or cautions. If they wouldn't have fallen at certain times, I would have won. I mean, with Matt, I could have done something to get by him, but that's just not how I wanted to race him. And like I've said for a few months, you guys keep asking, what if you'd have moved him? But now I won, so we don't have to talk about that anymore.
Go next to Kenny Bruce, and then up front to Lee.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Kyle, you've obviously won races in a bunch of other series before. How does this feel different?
This feels different because it's taken me a lot longer than it took me in any of the other stuff to get a win. Took me a couple of months to win my first sprint car race when I was 4 days after my 15th birthday. And then took me a few months to win when I got into USAC. I guess it took me a few years to win an outlaw race, but I'd still been winning sprint car races. But this, after the way my rookie season started, coming close a few times and not getting it done, you can kind of visualize the win that early in your career. You're like, oh, it's going to happen, and just never happened. So this one's different just because of how long we had to wait and how much harder I've had to work for it. Like I said, it's special because all the hard work's paid off.
Okay, we'll go next to Lee, and then over to George.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Chip said that he thinks that if you do get in the chase, and I heard you earlier, you said that you really think there's a lot of great tracks coming up for you. He said he wants to see you in shootout situations because he thinks that would be good for you as well. What tracks are you looking at that you can really persevere at, and is there any place you think you might struggle?
There's probably half the tracks are some of my best race tracks. Starting out at Chicago, that's a great one for me. Loudon, we've struggled a little bit. Dover, that's a good one. We almost won there earlier in the year. Texas, Charlotte, Kansas, and then Homestead is awesome for me. Martinsville is typically been a bad track for me, but we ran third there earlier this year, so hopefully we can go back and have another good run. There's a lot of good tracks. My rookie year, I didn't make the chase obviously, but you're doing the math. I had made like the third or fourth most points in the chase. Had I been in the chase, I think I would have finished like sixth in points or something. So there's a lot of good tracks for me. Talladega is a wild card, so we could have a good run there or bad run, whatever. But we've been pretty decent on super speedways this year. We've gotten our cars better on that stuff, so I feel like we definitely have a shot to make it to the final 8. And then if we make it to Homestead, I'd be super excited because we can rail the top there pretty good.
Head to your left of George.
Kyle, George Poley, Macomb Daily. Obviously, Brian's accident and death touched you very deeply, your tribute and everything to him, but just what has it been like for you in the car since that happened? Was it difficult to get in and race, or just what has it felt like inside the car since he's been gone?
Well, Watkins Glen, knowing that morning that it wasn't, we didn't get any good news. That was really tough. Getting in the car there, but Brian was going to race 200 times this year, so he would want us to race, and this is our job, and we love doing it. He loved doing it, so it's not hard to get in a race car, and especially we're extremely sad and still are sad, but after hanging out with the Clauson family and his fiancee Lauren at Knoxville, seeing how well they were, or how strong they were being, really helped all of us. All their close friends and stuff. So, you hate it. You hate to see anybody go in racing, but especially somebody like Brian, who's touched so many people and done a lot for a lot of people, charities and stuff like that. So, it's good to be able to park it in victory lane, like he would have said, and he wasn't much. He didn't like people doing burnouts and stuff like that, but because he wanted you to act like you've been to victory lane before, but I hadn't been to victory lane before, so I was going to do some burnouts.
We're going to throw it upstairs for a couple questions, and we'll come back down here.
Kyle, this race in Michigan has really kind of evolved into an ebb and flow race a little bit. And it's not coming down to the final, 10, 15 laps that we really see some decisiveness. And is this becoming a characteristic of a Michigan race, or is this just a result of the new, aerodynamic package?
Yeah, this race has been, since they repaved it, there's been a lot of cautions and stuff. So it's always kind of a crazy race, just because you got to be on your toes on restarts and stuff, and then it also is kind of hard to pass here, but luckily enough our car was really good today, so we got in traffic a little ways and could pass some cars. But all these races are tough. You got to be perfect every single race to be able to get wins, and we weren't perfect today, or I wasn't perfect today, but we were still able to get it done. So I always enjoyed coming to Michigan. We've always had speed here in the 3 years I've ran, and wish we could come here more often.
Got an additional question upstairs?
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Kyle, in 2014, in the first 5 races of the chase, you had a finish no worse than 6. Do you guys feel like that the team right now is capable of duplicating that again?
I think we're actually better than where we were then. We've been working really hard, and this is about the time of the year where we get better normally. And you want to sit there, Owen? You want to sit there? But that was a hell of a run, though, that by rookie year to start the chase. I think I had back-to-back seconds and thirds and stuff like that. So we need to have runs like that. But those first couple rounds, you just got to be consistent, not have any bad luck, and not lose any points. So I'm sure it'll be stressful when we get to the chase, and you race a little bit differently. When you're in the chase, I think, than when you're somebody that's out of it and has nothing to lose. So, I don't know, but we're gonna try our best to get a couple wins and advance into the rounds.
We got one more question upstairs.
Question for. Question for Kyle. First of all, congratulations, Wolfgang won the Rennsport Press Agency in Germany. You run here with a new aero package. Next week in Darlington, you go back to more or less a car which was run before. Is this difficult to set up the car then for Darlington, or when you compare to the new aero package? And you mentioned traffic. How is the behavior of this new aero package in traffic?
You have to ask Chad about the setups. I just get in and drive. I hold the wheel and touch the pedals. But our car, with the lesser downforce that we had here at Michigan, it's harder to drive because your entry is looser. It's better to drive because you're off throttle and going a little bit slower in the corners. But going next week to Darlington, that track is so so elbows up and intense and tough that I'm glad we don't have less downforce there next week because it's already a handful. So it should be a good race, though. You'll love going there. 1 and 2 is extremely hard to run, and then 3 and 4 you can kind of run wherever you want. So looking to have a good run there again, and we've been good there so far in my Cup career. I think I've got 2 top 10s there in Cup, but yeah, we've got speed to get wins now. Obviously, the Gibbs cars are still the ones to beat when you have the 16 package. They're a little bit slower with the 17 stuff, so we've all got work to do. But we've been working hard and getting better and better each week.
We're going to come downstairs to Greg.
Kyle, just a quickie footnote. Did the groove get wider today at all? You know, they did a lot with the Dragon for 10 days and so forth. I was just wondering if the groove was any wider at all, noticeable.
I didn't think the Tire Dragon did anything, so that was kind of disappointing. I don't know if they need to, I don't even know what compounds they use for that thing, but I almost think they need to use a softer compound when they come lay rubber down, that way it sticks better to the racetrack before we get here. But today, the groove looked pretty narrow. It had rubbered up to the bottom from the truck race, but it got a little bit wider. I saw a few guys trying to work in the top. Casey Kane was getting the top going all right. It looked like Chase could kind of run up there some. But I was better just running the same line I've ran here forever. Everybody kind of runs the same line through 1 and 2, but I thought I was able to run the bottom a little bit better than most people through 3 and 4 for a while. As that got rubbered in, I got a little too tight down there, and it kind of went back up a lane, and it was able to split the seam in 3 and 4 a little bit and get grip. But yeah, it didn't widen out a ton, but this place hasn't really widened out much since I've ran here. It was pretty normal today.
We're going to come over here to Bob and then over to Lee.
Bob Hocker, ESPN. When Chip was in here, I asked him, and he was talking about how kind of when you first got to Ganassi, a lot of the talk was, well, be at Ganassi for a few years and then go somewhere else to do a lot of things. That was the kind of the vibe. And so he kind of indicated that he doesn't plan on you leaving for a long time. Curious, what makes you think this is the place for you?
Well, Chip, I owe everything to him for why I'm here today. I was just racing sprint cars and midgets 2011 in Indiana, and him and Mike Cole noticed me and got me signed up later that year. And so I've got a ton of respect for them, and love racing for their organization. I kind of like being the underdog, I guess you can say. Our team isn't up there, isn't considered with Hendrick or Penske or Gibbs, so we're right below them. But I like that, and I think everybody at our race shop likes that. I think they work, it kind of drives them to work harder, and push the limits of building faster race cars. And yeah, Chip's a great car owner. He understands racing more so I think than a lot of the other owners. And then Felix, he's a great time, and Rob is super passionate about racing. So we got some great owners, and love racing for them.
Come over here to Lee.
Chad, how long did it take you to get acclimated to the systems at Ganassi to where you could just kind of feel comfortable to start getting things focused on Kyle? And having been in the chase before with Martin, what do you think your strategy is going to be once you guys get there?
Yeah, I mean, it took a month or so. Obviously, you kind of hit the ground running, and you get a late start. You don't have much of an off season, so you kind of got to get an idea of what the cars are, how they got to that point, and what you want to do different to make them better. So you kind of have what they've had in the past, the first 3 or 4 weeks, and then decide from there what you want to do. So say a couple months into it, we started making some changes, and we all put our heads together and thought, we were obviously behind the 8 ball as far as being competitive on a week-to-week basis. So everybody at the shop worked their butt off in the fab shop and the body shop, and hats off to those guys. You don't make cars fast when you come to the racetrack. You make fast cars at the shop. So you have to unload fast, make sure we can go way smoother. You qualify better. So hats off to all those guys at the shop. They're the ones that deserve deserve the win and deserve all the congratulations because we unloaded with a fast car and didn't have to do much to it.
Kyle, first off, congratulations. And you had a couple of close calls. Talk about, first off, the incident with about 19 to go. You got caught up in some slower traffic and lost time. And then on the restart, what did you have to do to gather the car back up after BK got you in the back there?
Yeah, there were, I guess, 19 to go. You Chase got into heavy traffic and cleared it pretty quickly. And then, when I got to it, they were side by side in front of me. And the 83 went in there. I went in behind him, was going to try and get to his outside, and he was trying to leave me room and got loose and chased up tracks. And I had to chase up the track and got loose, and really lost a lot of time there. But it's I get mad at lappers a lot, but it's hard for them to get out of the way sometimes when your leaders are coming extremely fast. So I know they were all trying to get clear or let me get clear of them. But we were coming fast, and then the last restart, like I said earlier, we both were, had our rear tires lit up, and I was pretty sideways at one point, pointed the opposite direction, and I was able to just, kind of stay calm, I guess, and gather my rear tires up and get going back straight and get some traction. So it was pretty intense there because I knew that was going to be where the race was won, and just glad we got taken off better.
Do we have any additional questions? Let's get a microphone to Kenny, please.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com for either Chad. It doesn't matter. But the last pit stop, did you guys have any issues on that stop, or was that just the fact that the 24 guys just beat you out?
Yeah, I thought that the stop was a little bit slow. The biggest thing was the 2 had pitted a few laps before us and took 2 tires for the track position. The 4 had pitted a few laps before us. We kind of pitted on the lap we needed to pit on to make it to the end. It's hard to talk yourself into staying out 2 more laps or 3 more laps when those guys are gaining lap time and track position, with each lap. But the worst thing you can do is let them force your hand and then run it out of fuel at the end. So we stood our ground and we pitted when we needed to pit, and just lost a lot of ground to chase through lap traffic and racing the 2 and the 4. So we needed that caution, obviously, at the end to compete for the win. We did a good job of running them back down until we caught that group of 3 cars, I think the 6 and the 83, and then another car, and then lost everything that we had gained and then some. So, we needed that last restart, and, Kyle did everything he needed to do to have the lead off of 2, and we knew that whoever had the lead off of 2 was probably going to win the race.
Say something?
What's the cat say?
What's the cat say? What's the race car say? What's the race car say? What's the race car say? Come on. All done? I think he said all done.
Outstanding. Well, gentlemen, congratulations. Owen, congratulations to you, buddy. Take care. We'll see you next week at the Southern 500.
Congratulations. Thank you.
What's that? He's going to stay.